Our next presenter is a 1984 Olympic champion, member of the Alan and Gloria Rice Greco-Roman Hall of Champions, and the current U.S. national team's coach for Greco-Roman, Steve Frazier.
Thank you, and of course it's my honor to be here with the opportunity to introduce Matt Lindland, who is probably one of my favorite wrestlers that I've coached. No offense, Brandon, he lived in Colorado Springs. You're probably right there with him, but since I was with him more than you know, he's right up to the top. And I gotta say about Matt Lindland, Matt, I've coached a lot of tough guys in my day, and yes, Brandon, you were right up there too on that, but this is Lindland's part. So Matt Lindland, probably one of the toughest, one of the meanest wrestlers I've ever had the honor to coach. I mean, so tough on the mat. Now off the mat, Angie, total chill, right? Total chill off the mat. This is what I love about this guy. On the mat, he's just mean and ornery and tough, and off the mat he's just chill, sometimes too chill. But except for the one time I remember when you had Rulon in the locker room, up like this by his collar. Now picture a 74 kilo guy got Rulon like this, and Rulon's like backing off. I don't remember what that was about, but we don't have to get into that. But I can tell you, Rulon wasn't making any move to strike an offense there. Matt also was, of course, one of the pioneers, one of the leaders. I mean, Jay talked a lot about leadership, and so did Dan, and Matt was one of the leaders when our Greco-Roman program started really turning the corner, and we started to become a real international threat and power, and that took a lot of effort from a lot of people. Of course, it took effort from all of our great athletes like Matt and Ghaffari and everybody that we had there, Brandon, coaches like Dan Chandler and so forth. But you were really one of the leaders, and not only is this guy the epitome of what a Greco-Roman warrior is, but he's such a dedicated family person. I mean, I remember back then when you were at the Olympic Training Center, he's supporting Angie and two children, eating in the dorm half the time, and I don't know, going home the other half the time, but he had two jobs. He was working two jobs. I know one of them was the Zamboni, which I thought was cool, and I know he did too. But he's a dedicated family man and did what it took to compete at that level when he didn't have a lot of resources to do that. So kudos to Angie too for all the support. Like many wrestling wives, it takes a very dedicated wife to support us crazy athletes. So thanks for all you did for Matt. I'm gonna just tell one story about Matt. I could tell hundreds of stories, and I know 99 of them he wouldn't want me to tell. But I'm going to tell one. It's just a memory I have of, we're in Izmir, Turkey, wrestling in an international competition, and Matt was in a match against a Ukrainian wrestler, real tough guy. It was a very physical match. This guy went ahead of Matt, as I recall it, about 7-8 points, and he was kind of, definitely getting the best of Matt. And then all of a sudden, Matt started getting more physical and starting to come back. And this Ukrainian was getting so angry, and it was getting real physical. They kept butting heads, and you wouldn't never guess Matt Lindland would butt someone's head like that. But I mean, this guy after the second period his face was all puffy and this and that. They stopped the match 2 or 3 times for him, doing this. And Matt just stayed on him. And he not only came back to close the gap and beat this guy, but he ends up attacking this Ukrainian guy. And again, the Ukrainian guy just looked like he'd been brutally beat up in a fight after the match. And so we go to the side, and we're sitting there I don't know, someone else is wrestling, a few minutes go by, and all of a sudden the whole Ukrainian team comes up to us. I mean, everybody's facing off. You know, Matt's against this guy. We have Pavel Kotzen, our coach there, speaks Russian. He's like, all of a sudden gets real serious, and he says, well, the one guy said he's killed people before, and look at my face, you know, and so everybody's squaring off. Of course, Zunica squared off with somebody, and this guy squared off. And I don't know where Ghaffari was, but all of a sudden the heavyweight from the Ukraine team, big, burly, ugly, strong guy, squaring off with me. And I'm like, you know, so for a moment I'm like, oh geez, you know. But anyways, it was a typical Matt Lindland match, and in the typical Matt Lindland, I could tell you a lot of stories about, you know, the Tyson moves with the ear, or the alleged, or many others, you know, foreigners coming up yelling and their singlets tore from here to here, you know. But I don't know, coach. My thumb got caught, I guess. But anyways, he's the epitome of a Greco-Roman warrior, like I said. And again, Matt, I'm so thankful, grateful as a national coach that you influenced. Not only did you win Olympic silver medal and world silver medal, but you were a great leader for our team, and I thank you for that. Congratulations.
What's your award? Coaches. Give me your hand, please. Yeah, your hand. Congratulations. Thank you. Thanks.
All right, I guess I'm going to talk and you guys can hear me because I heard Willie. It was like, you put your mouth like that, it was crazy. But thanks for the kind words, Coach. You know, I mean, my wife is the reason that I'm able to accept this, because she's put up with this crazy lifestyle that it takes to get to the levels that we all aspire to get to. And I mean, I don't think she knew what she was in for when she married me. She wasn't even planning on marrying me. She broke up with me the day that I asked her to marry me, and 22 years later, we're still together. And yeah, it was very difficult. It was hard to do a lot of the things that we did. And no, I did not eat at the cafeteria. I stole food from the cafeteria and took it home so I could feed my kids, because those two jobs still didn't pay all the bills. Kyle told me, you know, he was making sure, you know, you're not going to speak, but I don't know. I just want to make sure I thank my wife and my family for always being there and supporting me, and my coaches. I mean, I've been blessed to have just some great men that, you know, Jay talked about leaders that, you know, just poured their lives into their athletes, and just, I don't know if you know what that means to everybody, because it really means a lot. I mean, Mike recruited me out to the training center. Coach Frazier took over. Dan was my Olympic coach. I mean, these guys in this room. I mean, every coach I had one coach that wasn't that great a coach. But what he did was he handed me a flyer and said, go wrestle in this Greco freestyle tournament. And I went. I mean, I got my ass kicked, but I went to it. But that inspired me to do this. And there's three ways to come into this sport. You come in because you have a knowledge of it. You're part of the Short family and everybody wrestles, so you have knowledge. Or you're inspired, or you just take action. And I was kind of like the inspired, take action kind of guy. I didn't do this when I was a kid. I learned about it in high school when we had gym class, and it coincided with the wrestling season starting the next week. So I jumped on it and thought that would be something that I would do, because I was an equestrian athlete and I was a farm kid, and I never really got much out of the country until I went to high school. We didn't have a high school where I went to, so we traveled into the city, and I ended up learning about wrestling and had an okay season, but I wanted to continue doing it, and I found out about the Greco and the freestyle. And when I started coaching, I mean, I had coaches like Pavel Kotzen, who just got off of being an Olympic coach, was my coach as a kid. And I've had so many great coaches that have just invested their time in me, and I'm just grateful for that opportunity. And I've got to meet some wonderful people. I mean, Brandon's inspired me. I mean, he'd always wrestled before me because he was little, and I'd watch him win. I'd get all excited, and I mean, it is an honor to be up here and get inducted the same as Brandon. And I mean, I was talking about Jesse this year, and he's a fierce, like, fighter, competitor, and I was like, man, that guy reminds me a lot of Brandon. just the men that do this sport are a different breed of guys. I don't know what made me do it. And I wasn't that good at it. That's why I was a lot meaner and more physical, because I didn't have that knowledge. I was just inspired. I was inspired to go out there and do what I saw these other guys do, go win medals at the Olympics and accomplish great things, and I just was inspired to go do that. I didn't know how to. I was figuring it out, and that's why I'm so happy and grateful that I had such good coaches, because I did learn. I learned a lot about wrestling. I learned how to wrestle. It's a science and it's an art, and I figured it out to a certain degree. I don't know if I'll ever completely figure it all out, but I figured out a lot of it to make me successful. But the one thing that I had was I knew that these guys were better. They've been doing it longer, so if I was just tougher and more physical, I could have success. And I was fortunate enough to have success in this sport. So I just want to thank Alan and the Hall of Fame, and thank my wife and my coaches for this opportunity and this award. Thank you guys for coming out.